Hello and welcome to another episode of Geared Toward Gear. My name is Sean and I am so glad you're here. Today we're taking a look at what I think is a pretty neat little tool, and that is the Exceed Designs Tirant Razor folding utility knife. It is a frame lock flipper, it's titanium, and I think it's pretty stinking cool. So I thought you might agree and figured I'd share it with you. So I learned about this recently. I was kind of in the market for a small utility style tool and asked for some recommendations on a Facebook group, and I had a number of recommendations and a few people mentioned this. I found it on Amazon, thought it looked pretty stinking cool, and figured what the hell, I'm gonna buy it, and I'm super happy I did. It's quite well made, super useful, and I'm really digging it. It's got a couple really neat features. A couple drawbacks, but overall I'm really digging it. The price tag on this guy is 60 bucks. I think it's like $59.99 on Amazon. I'm sure there's other places you could find one. That happens to be where I purchased mine, and I will leave a link below. So as I mentioned, it is a full titanium frame lock flipper, and it uses your standard utility blades. So pretty cool. So let's talk a couple dimensions real quick, and I'll give you a couple size comparisons while we are at it. So starting with the closed length, it is 3.5 inches in length, which is almost identical to that of like an Olight i3T, which also comes in at 3.5 inches. So almost identical in overall length there compared to a Victorinox Pioneer. The Pioneer is going to be a hair longer, but almost the same height and thickness. So if you're familiar with the Pioneer or the Olight i3T, the Tirant Razor is going to be right kind of in that same family in terms of size. So definitely a good size. It's small, but it is very, very useful. The overall length when it's opened is 6.25 inches, which I have extra large size hands and I can get like a full 3-finger grip, and it's super comfortable, super user friendly, and I like it a ton. So 6.25 overall. Your cutting edge that is exposed on this utility blade is 1.5 inches. And that's one thing that I find to really like about this, is that not only do you have a usable amount of that blade exposed, but it's kind of in line with the rest of the tool. So you're not really fighting to get that blade into whatever material you're trying to cut. And as an example, I'll bring in one other little kind of micro tool real quick. This one's very different, of course. This is the Outdoor Edge Slide Winder. This is about a $15 tool, and it works for certain things, but you'll notice the cutting edge that's exposed is about 5/8, maybe 3/4 of an inch, and it's sitting kind of up above the bottom of the tool. So to get that into some materials it's frankly awkward, and you don't get a ton of cutting edge. So the way this has been designed, you're really maximizing the available edge on that blade. It does come with the blade. It comes with 10 of them to be exact, and they're super easy to change. You just push this little kind of spring steel right here. You're going to push it in that direction with your thumb, like such. Pull the blade out, replace it with a new one, stick it in, let go, and it is retained. And it is retained really well. So there's a tiny bit of movement, which you should be able to hear, but it is minuscule. I've never had a utility knife that had as little movement as this does. Again, we'll just use this to kind of contrast. There's a lot of slop in here. I mean, a lot. This thing is pretty, the tolerances are pretty tight. If you look how thin that gap is for you to put the blade into, it's a really, really tight tolerance, so much so that some of your thicker utility blades actually won't fit. It's designed to be a very, very tight, secure fit, and this metal plate here, which is secured by these 2 torque screws, I mean, it's just in there. I mean, it's just really being squeezed really hard. And this spring steel here that we mentioned, you can kind of see the 2 holes just below my thumbnail in the blade. There's actually 2 little kind of dimples that stick out of this spring steel that go into those holes to retain it. So it's super, super strong, and I really, really dig it. The width on this guy is less than a half an inch, like 0.4 inches, so nice and slim in the pocket, about 0.9 inches tall, again, about the same height or tallness this way as a Victorinox Pioneer. It weighs 2.85 ounces, which is heavy for its size. It feels chunky, and I love that. I actually really like the weight that this has to it. It makes it feel very substantial and makes it feel high quality. You know, they didn't spend time to purposefully reduce weight. It's just 2 slabs of titanium, some stainless steel parts, and it weighs what it weighs, right? It is what it is. The pivot here actually uses ball bearings, which is something we're very familiar with in the knife world. Is it necessary on a tool like this? Certainly not. Is it fun? Hell yeah. So ball bearings, and that's that. So a couple things that I did to this to improve it, in my opinion. One is I added this texture here. So this comes as a plain, clean slab of titanium on both sides, and I found it to be quite slick. It's a stonewash finish, but it's polished to a pretty slick finish, and I found that because it's small, when I was trying to deploy this, I just didn't feel very confident and was pretty certain it was going to fly out of my hand. And I really felt like I needed to add some texture. So I took some Talon grips, some Talon grip tape, I should say, the kind of rubberized type, cut a shape that I thought looked halfway decent, put it on the front, and a little strip on the back for kind of these fingers. And it's solid as a rock now. And I much prefer it. I think it looks fine. I also added a lanyard. This is a personal preference thing. You've got a little lanyard hole in the back here. And let's just pretend for a second this is a pocket. This is roughly what it would look like in a pocket. So you're going to have a bit sticking out, and I carry it like that. So I can reach down, grab the lanyard, and pull the tool out of my pocket. So that is it. That is the Exceed Designs Tirant Razor. $60 on Amazon. I think it's pretty fun. And yeah, check the link if you're interested. If you have any questions, leave them below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.